Spring is coming through. It's a little bit windy out here. You can see there's a slight trace of snow behind me, but it is the daily video vlog of the MVA studio. Tripping over my words already. There's so much stuff that I want to talk about, ranging from more about process to pricing and pricing models to God, I don't even know what else. And but I think what I'll talk about today is kind of continuing the pain is a warning theme, which I think you can break down to a really kind of micro level. Sometimes you think that maybe you have an insight into something, but you also wonder, or I also wonder, if potentially I'm just getting better at what I do. So what I think is making me feel better is the insight, but maybe it's just the passage of time. Maybe it's just focusing on work and working, and that you get better at it. But then one of the nice things that happens is that I'm doing my contract job from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then I'm working on other stuff, and I'm working on this psych CD package at the moment. When the process is right, and it's the right one for the time frame, and there's an even collaboration happening between me and the client and the way that we're working, when I'm working, I could work forever. I kind of lose track of time. I wish that I had more hours to work. And it's just a super good feeling. Like I could just work forever. I've always kind of joked that like I like working, but I don't like it that much. Like I'd rather go for a walk. But these days that's not really true. But it's interesting to contrast it with my freelance gig. That the projects have weird process. It's just all kind of weird and messy. And the big thing that I notice is I try to do the best job that I can, but I'm trying to get done at any given moment. And that's an interesting thing to immediately be able to contrast, because for most of my career and most of the way that I worked, no matter how fun the stuff that I was doing was, I was still in that same mode, just trying to get done, you know what I mean? And to be able to, I got some scooter kids behind me, so I'm gonna kind of go for a walk over here. So to have this thing where the work is fun. And so for most of my career, doing my own stuff has always felt like a thing I wanted to get done with. So I enjoyed it, but I always wanted to be done. And one of the things that I really hated about my perfectionist kind of tendencies was I was spending so much time on something that maybe I really didn't feel like working on in the grand scheme of things. So coming back to that theme, that pain is a warning theme, what do you end up with then? You have this situation where the pain might not be the most hurting, awful thing in the world, but it's still pain. And there's still this contrast of there's another thing that I could be doing, and the other thing is better. And embracing that so that I can do maybe the best work possible and be super happy with it, that's a really exciting moment. Part 2 would be this. If you think that work should be hard and not fun, you will find ways to make work hard, and you will reward it when it feels hard. Yeah, I've presented work before to students, and a lot of times I'll show these kind of anti-process works where I'm like, this thing turned out okay, but the way I did it was so backwards and horrific. Or it turned out how it turned out, but I wasn't happy with it. And someone will always be like, well, yeah, but don't you have that feeling where it was a struggle and you got to the end and you're happy? I never have that feeling. The feeling that I always have is, here's this weird thing I did that is a reminder of the torture I put myself through, and it could have been done better and it could have been done differently. I kind of always knew that work was not supposed to be hard, but still I didn't fully embrace that. And I think one of the things I notice is, like, let's say if I'm assigning an exercise to students, and I'm doing that same exercise and it's a blast. I would think, why don't I just work like this? This would be so much better than the way that I work. And part of me couldn't do that because in my head, how could I charge someone for just letting me have fun? That's literally that's how I treated it. The reality is that would be the best situation, because when I look back on the I don't know how many years of working, when I was in that zone of almost like total self-amusement, I made the best work. When I'm in that mode of just getting through it and struggle, I never really produced good work that way. I didn't produce good work in my first stint at Target. When I had my first job and I had creative block all the time, I really didn't produce good work. Nothing that I am super proud of, but the other night I can work for an hour and a half and be so stoked on the work. So wrapping this all back up, that pain is a warning idea. It's so rich for me because I look at it and I go, well, all those projects that were a struggle, what is a struggle? It's pain. And the stuff that's going swimmingly right now, what is that? It's sheer joy. Now I can kind of analyze that and go I took it for granted that the work should be hard. And now I really don't think it should be hard. I really think it should be easy and fun, and that even getting rid of the weird idea that you should only be paid for things that are miserable. You get my best work when I am the happiest dude on the planet that is addicted to creating. And you get my worst work when I just want to be done. And I'm only doing this out of obligation. But I think it's a thing worth examining in your own work. When stuff was flowing and you were happy, what was the results like? And when it was a drag and a struggle, but at least you worked hard, what were the results like? All right, thanks a lot.